What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Tear Fiend Crafts. I'm Nick. This live gonna be a little bit different than some of the others. However, this live is brought to you in part by our friends over at Reaper Comics. It is also brought to you in part by probably one of my favorite energy drinks, Raze Energy. It is not an official sponsorship from Raze. However, I have absolutely that many issues dropping a nod to them, as it would be. By far one of my favorite energy drinks for sure. Welcome to whoever is in and watching. If you have been part of this channel for a while, or if you, or this page more accurately, or if you're new to the page, those of you that have been here for a while, or those of you that know me personally, know that one of the things I enjoy doing quite a bit is game design and game development, more specifically in terms of tabletop over everything else. That being said, take the watch off real quick. That being said, over the course of the past 6 years, I have been a DM, and I have very much so enjoyed it. However, there have been a variety of things that I'm not the biggest fan of when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, things like that. That being said, one of the reasons why I say that this this live is brought to you in part by Reaper Comics is because Reaper Comics, make sure I turn the volume down on that. Reaper Comics has helped me be able to come up with ideas, bounce things back and forth between our friends over there, and in that, I have managed to not only, for me, build a massive world, but I've also managed to come up with some pretty interesting ideas in my mind for characters and things like that. Welcome to whoever came in over on Facebook. Oops, wrong letter. Alright. So, if you are following me on Facebook, definitely consider following me on some of my other channels, such as Tear Fiend Crafts on YouTube, Tear Fiend Crafts on Twitch, as well as Tear Fiend Crafts on Twitter. I may not be the quickest to reply to messages and stuff on those. However, from here on, all lives are going to be going to those channels as well. But for the sake of this, we're going to go ahead and go down to the table. And I need to clicky there. Okay. So, now that we're down at the table, one of the things that game development has definitely bit me in the butt with is I have had to learn some new programs, new ways of doing things. And in that, move this table up real quick. And in that, I have done quite a bit of work getting things to a point where I feel it's time to move forward and start expanding, getting artwork done, things like that for an actual book. That being said, in the system that I am working on, there are a lot of similarities to other tabletop games. Evening, Tim. For instance, there are multiple species that you can choose from. However, the game I am working on, there are absolutely 0 classes. And I know you may be thinking, how can you have a game without some sort of class system to defer back and forth? Well, as the weeks go on, I will explain a little bit more, probably not in as much detail as some people are hoping for, but I also don't want to give away too much before it gets there. So there is that. But for the sake of what we're doing, we are going to be working... Oops, wrong one. I didn't need you at all. I needed the one that's already up. For the sake of what we are doing today, I am going to be... that one. Right there. Okay. I am going to be doing some basic character art for a couple of the species in the game. Each species has its own traits and quirks, as well as its own racial variants. Because despite what it is commonly assumed, no matter what the species is, there are generally variants of said species throughout that species. Or subspecies, so on, so on, so on. That being the case, the species that we are going to be that I'm going to be working on today is called the Eelf. E-E-L-F, not elf. In the game, you will not see much referencing to traditional elves, as it would be. That being the case, I will read you guys the notes I have for it, because I will be working on 2 of the 3 racial variants. The 3 variants are Boran, Dek, and Hydroke. The one I won't be working on is Dek. That one is for a different time. But I will be doing this, working with my Unifield 2.0 It was red. It's not red anymore, but was red. Architect's pencil, and my Strathmore Bristol smooth paper, pre-lined. I love this stuff. It's actually fun to work with. Welcome to whoever came in on Facebook. It might help if I actually pay attention to where I'm putting lines. Oops, excuse me. Alright. We are going to be doing both a male and a female variant of each. Or at least as best I can, male and female. I am starting to realize more and more as time goes on that though, yes, drawing things by hand I can do, I am much better at building it. But I am going to read you guys the basic overall, or basic notes to the species itself. The Eve. Unlike the elves of other planes, the elves, quote unquote, of this world are not of pure Fey descent, nor are they truly elves as seen in Terran lore and literature. They are weaker than humans in matter of brute strength, but have a natural disposition to stealthy and dexterous ability. As a species, they are quick thinkers, and at times, quick talkers as well. The variations of their races are distinct, but on a genetic level, they remain similar in these aspects. So, I am going to go off of my notes for each of the physical traits, rather than going off of what is generally seen as standard elven aesthetic. Just got to listen tonight. Working on a report for work. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you get the report done and all goes well with it. We're going to start with the Boran elves. And I'm going to mark this up here at the top. B-O-R-R-A-H-N. Boran. Alright. Boran, quote-unquote, elves in the trees. Children of a more Fey-appearing line, but their other progenitor has been lost to time. Their features are sharper, and they have a much smaller stature, standing no taller than 1.2 meters, though on average they are closer to 0.9 meters. Which means that I have to math again, because I did the initial math and then I forgot how to math in not twelfths. I'm assuming Rachel's in. I'm a guessing. I don't know, but I'm a guessing. Welcome to whoever else is in on the Facebook side. Maybe if things would not be rude to me. Okay. Okay, switch over there. I know I'm live. Why can't I not find it? Oh, those are interesting. However, not what I'm looking at. Okay. Oh, wow. That's not what I want. I am showing that I'm still live on Facebook, but for some reason, I cannot seem to pull it up. Oh, there it is. Ta-da! Found it! Hi, Rachel. Okay, so now that I got that up, all right, the second part of that was figuring out meters to not meters. M to V. Okay. 1.2, which would be 3 foot, 3.93, we'll go 94 feet, and 0.9 is 2.95 feet. Okay, so short. Really, really short. They have a greenish hue to their light red-brown skin, as well as monochromatic green or blue eyes, and typically hair matching the color of the foliage where they grew up. Their hands have 4 longer appendages with 3 fingers and a thumb, and their feet have 6 appendages structured to aid in climbing with 3 toes on either side of a wide and thick palm. To anyone that probably doesn't know what I'm referring to by that, if you've ever seen a chameleon's foot, which I'll draw out a circle here, chameleons have a claw on either side of a wider palm, quote unquote, area here. And sketch that in. And one side has 3 claws where the other one has 2. Both their front and their back feet are like this. The difference between chameleons and the elves that I'm working on is where, so assuming you can see this on camera, which I'm hoping you can, because I can barely see it on mine, which I'm going to have to take studio mode off for a second. Okay, you can barely see it, but let me adjust the light away from it for a second. It didn't help any. Okay, so adjusting the light didn't help, so I will lift that up. There we go. All right, so something akin to that is what a chameleon's foot looks like. The initial design for this species, whenever I first started working on it, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, somewhere in there, was their back feet were akin to that of a chameleon, or some sort of climbing species like a chameleon. That being said, I wanted to try and keep that aesthetic as much as possible with this. Clean that up. I need an eraser now. We're going to erase that out. And I'm going to go with a pretty basic design to the way the face looks, and longer, sharper features, meaning the chin would be very pointed down low, jawline would come up that way. Before I continue on, maybe I should finish reading the description, because apparently I am very goldfishy in the way that I am going about this. Okay, so we got to where their feet are. Because they are smaller in stature, or because of their smaller stature, they are generally seen as food for many of the predatory species of this world. However, they can live for as long as 380 years naturally. Though they aren't uncommon to be seen in cities, they remain naturally skittish around other species, generally remaining in groups of their own kin. They are faster than many other species and are expert climbers, especially in wooded areas. Those born and raised in cities are known to hide in the higher reaches of the city walls or towers, as well as in any lusciously vegetated area within the city. They have been known to be quite adept in the use of magics, some even naturally discovering necromancy, though it is rare. Okay, so now that I've read that and I've gotten it out of the way. Okay, so very long featured individuals around the back of this head area off a little bit more. Sharper features, so I'm going to say we're going to point the cheek out just a bit here and taper it in on the side of the chin, and work in the brow line up. Alright, and then we want the area our eyes is going to be sitting, so roughly in here, and the nose is going to come way out before it tapers back in. So, there. Okay. Just draw in some eyes. Although I am not the best at drawing bodies or humanoid figures, I am going to attempt to do this as good as I can and pull that chin down this way. Very gaunt, very flush, but chin is too rounded. Side of the mouth. And chin. Okay. Point that cheek out. Slender features. Alright. Now, unlike what is generally seen when referring to elves, welcome to you, honey. I didn't realize you were on. Burgers do sound good right now. They sound extremely good. Very much so. I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. Let's see. What was the description of their hair? Nothing. Alright. So, go back over here to where I can see again. No description of hair. So, aside from basic coloring of hair. So, unlike traditional elves, even though the description of elves varies widely depending on who is writing them, unlike traditional elves, though their ears are pointed, they are not exactly the same. They don't have a much higher uh, a much higher ability to hear um, than other species, and I just realized I drew those way smaller than I needed them. Um, their ears are larger, and they have a slightly higher, but not exceptionally higher ability to hear. Um, in that, I mean that they can't echolocate. So once game development is done, and this game does become a thing, to all of the games operations directors, which is the quote-unquote GM for this, but to any potential games operation directors, Boran elves, though their ears are larger, cannot echolocate, nor does it give them a preternatural ability to hear things over massive distances. Alright. There we go. Get that ear drawn in there. And you know what? I'm going to go with short hair. Figure out where I want the hair to lay. After I figure out where I want the brow to be. And even though they are much shorter in stature and whatnot, I enjoy drawing angry things, apparently, because I had to go and make this thing look moderately angry unintentionally. Alright, and we'll go with shorter hair, but not exceptionally short hair. There. There. Roll that down to there. And I'm trying my hardest not to anime style it or manga style it, however you want to refer to that. Pull the jawline in, neckline coming down. Okay. And for a species that is known for being a prey species, they are not massively vain. So their appearance to them means a lot less than it does to other species. They are more concerned with survival over everything else. And then we might be able to sneak in that other ear over here. There we go. Alright. And eye color was monochromatic, green, or brown. And when saying monochromatic, welcome to whoever came in on Facebook. And when saying monochromatic, what I'm referring to is instead of having a fully developed iris, or iris shape. The majority of the eye is one standard color. However, there is an iris-like aesthetic to it, but it is much larger, covering most of that white. Draw that in. Draw that in. And then we can start making adjustments to the nose. Actually draw it out completely rather than simulate it. Alright. There's the face. Now that I've got the face determined and figured out, where I want those cheek lines to end up cutting in and how I'm going to utilize that aesthetic as I press forward. Oh. Alright. Where was I going with this? I forgot where I was going with this. Find the chin shape. And go back to the description. And you know what? I'm going to play to the necromancy side of this guy. Keep that hair the same. Keep those eyes the same. And we are going to heads here. And that comes down to there, roughly. Smaller chest. Shoulder, and shoulder, okay, and ribs. And that's going to taper inward. And I want this arm. Not there. Truthfully, I'm going to try something that I saw on what was it? I believe I saw it on a Pinterest thing, and I found it interesting, and I wanted to try it. Ooh. Let's do away with the squeaky here. So let's do away with the squeaky. I'm over here squeaking. I don't know where my blue one went.
I don't know where you put stuff anymore.
I don't either. And truthfully, the blue one got put up with all of the rest of my art stuff before we went to Texas, and I may or may not have forgotten exactly where I put all of it. So, oh, there are leftovers from dinner. No? I said there are leftovers from dinner.
All I had to eat today was like one piece of chicken, half a scoop of macaroni.
It's in the cooler. Okay. I'm trying here, lady.
I bet you both on YouTube and on Facebook.
On YouTube and on Facebook. Can you message from I forgot what I was gonna say. Can you message on Messenger?
I can message on Messenger, but I can't share anything on Messenger.
Oh, really? It won't let you share anything from like YouTube on Messenger or
Nothing.
anything like that. Messed up.
I know. That's why I thought it was hilarious when I got banned again for something I've already been banned for.
Right? Alright.
It's a little piece of my.
Uh-oh. Sounds like the dog stole Mama's spot in the bed. Wonders of having a puppy. She kind of just does what she wants and says, nope, this is my spot. Alright, we're going to bring that in just a bit. Meaning we need to go and erase that out. And then I need to taper that in. Taper this in. And we'll taper this in just a tick. Not a whole lot, but just a little. Okay, but I am going to try something that I saw on Pinterest, which may sound weird, but when looking for a lot of stuff for homebrewed 5th edition stuff, there are two places I tend to go. One is YouTube. Or not YouTube. I do go to YouTube, but no, I don't want to watch on my TV. But one is YouTube. However, it's not the most common. The two most common are Pinterest and Reddit. And Reddit is usually because I found it on Pinterest and it passes me through. So, that being said, if I'm looking for 5e stuff, I tend to look on Pinterest. But I'm going to start by drawing the hand where I want it rather than trying to draw the arm to the hand or through to the hand and then trying to loop around from there. So I'm going to start with an exceedingly long thumb. One, two, and make adjustments as needed. 250 aesthetic of what it is. Okay. Now that I have the generalized view of the arm that I'm looking for. Ooh. I didn't think about that part. I need the palm. Or not the palm, but the back of the hand. Showing a little bit. Welcome to whoever is in on Facebook. Ugh. That was weird. Just had a fly or something. It just fly up my nose. That was weird. Alright. I know for sure I want to have some sort of staff right in there. Oop, not far enough. Right in there. Meaning that if I have that there, let's get the fullness of it. Okay. It is Sam. He has joined us. Welcome in, Sam. We are... Okay, I will start at the top. Over the course of the past few years, I have been working on and off on a couple of different things. One of which is a novel that is meant to be a compendium to a game that I am working on developing. Said game, I have finally gotten to the point with the idea stage of it and the brainstorming of it to start piecing things together and getting things in order and lined out for said game. The name of the game I'm not going to release yet. However, last night, while I have been working on a few things, one of the things that I realized last night is something I don't have a lot of is designs. I don't have artwork for the first book that I'm hoping to have done to be able to run an alpha test for the game. Do I actually need the artwork for the alpha? No, I don't. But if I start getting it done now, I have it in place whenever I do. So excited to see what this looks like once you're finished. I am too, honey. I am too. But I want to have some of the artwork in place before I finally get to the point of working on the beta and Charlie testing points. In that, what I am working on now, I will go back and reread the description for anybody else that is just joining us or wasn't here whenever I went over the initial description. In the game I'm working on, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different species options that are possibilities for in the game. Each of them have variants to them. At a minimum, each of them has 3. There are 1, 2, 3 that have more than that, but on a general basis, most of them are culminated to 3. The reason for this was actually really simple. I wanted there to be variation, but I didn't want it to be sort of the same variation that we see from some of the Wizards of the Coast stuff, including Dungeons and Dragons. The overall to the game itself is intended to be another tabletop. However, it's meant to give a bit of a difference and a change to the games that are already out there. So to start, I decided I was going to start at the very top of the list with the Ilf. EELF, not elf. They are Ilf. And I will go ahead and read out the description and then read this one so we know what we're working on. Unlike the elves of other planes, unlike the elves of other planes, the elves of this world are not of pure Fey descent, nor are they truly elves as seen in Terran lore and literature. They are weaker than humans in matters of brute strength, but have a natural disposition for stealthy and dexterous ability. As a species, they are quick thinkers and at times quick talkers as well. The variants of their race are distinct, but on a genetic level, they remain similar in these aspects. This is true to a lot of species in the real world, which is why the basic description of the overall species is the way it is. For instance, canines in general all share many traits that are the same, but there are distinct differences between a wolf, a fox, and a dog. So, though they are all canines, that their variances do split in there. Now, by technicality, I may have the terminology wrong. I'm not the best at biology, okay? I'm not even gonna deny that. I may or may not have understood most of what was learned. However, I ended up passing biology by cheating on my girlfriend. So, if my parents end up seeing this, you're welcome. Or cheating off of my girlfriend's homework. Let me rephrase that, because I'm not for sure exactly how I had phrased that, or I don't remember exactly how I phrased that, but I'm pretty sure it didn't sound good. But I cheated off of her homework and managed to mostly pass the class, so that was a plus. But, on the other side of it, the racial variant that I am working on is called the Boran, or Boran. Knock that out, taper that down, because of their size and stature. To be fair, this is probably one of the smallest sentient and sapient species in the entirety of this game. However, that they are interesting from what I was able to think up and write for them. The description for these in general, the Boran, elves in the trees, quote unquote, children of a more Fey appearing line, but their other progenitor has been lost to time. Their features are sharper, and they have a much smaller stature, standing no taller than 1.2 meters, which I believe we determined to be 3.94 feet, though on average they are closer to 0.9 meters, which is 2.5, roughly 2.5 feet in height. They have a greenish hue to their light red-brown skin, as well as monochromatic green or blue eyes, and typically hair matching the color of the foliage where they grew up. Their hands... I got distracted there for a second. Their hands have 4 longer appendages with 3 fingers and a thumb, which you can see over here. I only added that, and that thumb is ridiculously long. and a thumb, and their feet have 6 appendages structured to aid in climbing, with 3 toes on either side of a wide, thick palm. That being said, one thing that had come about during the initial idea of this was whenever I was doing the initial design, I based the feet off of that of a chameleon, first off, where a chameleon's toes kind of merge together and kind of come out in that way. However, unlike a chameleon, their toes can move forward, or at least somewhat forward. The palm portion is split enough to where it can kind of fold together, but not perfectly. So their shoes look funky. Most of them don't wear shoes because of that. However, back to descriptions. Because of their smaller stature, they are generally seen as food for and their feet have 6 appendages structured to aid in climbing, with 3 toes on either side of a wide, thick palm. Okay, because of their smaller stature, they are generally seen as food for many of the predatory species of this world. However, they can live for as long as 380 years naturally. Though they aren't uncommon to be seen in cities, they remain naturally skittish around other species, generally remaining in groups of their own kin. They are faster than many other species and are expert climbers, especially in wooded areas. Those born and raised in cities are known to hide in the higher reaches of city walls or towers, as well as in any luscious vegetative area within the city. They have been known to be quite adept in the use of life magics, which I wish I would have read that correctly the first time. Quite adept in the use of life magics, some even naturally discovering necromancy through this, or though this is rare. To explain a little bit further, because now I know I went and confused everybody. In this world, there are 6 schools of magic. And magic, for the terms of the game, will end up working a lot differently than other known tabletops. I'm trying not to curb ideas as much as possible from other games, and trying to build this in a cohesive, coherent way to where it can be a standalone game and still work alongside other tabletop giants such as Dungeons and Dragons, Vampire the Masquerade, Warhammer Fantasy, so on. Even though, truthfully, Warhammer Fantasy is a little sketchy on that one because it's both an RPG and a war game all at the same time. But the 6 schools of magic are alteration, conjuration, deception, elementalism, enhancement, and life. Life magics themselves are both life and death, quote unquote. And in the compendium novel that is intended to go with the game itself, I do end up going into a hair more detail. As far as what I've written so far, I've gone into more detail with how that is seen. I will explain it in the game, but I think the novel will end up giving a more broad view of that as time progresses. But that being the case, and me getting at least a little bit of work done here, I am trying to gear this toward that necromantic sort of aesthetic, as well as keeping to the naturally smaller stature of the species. Sternum. Rib goes to there. There we go. Don't pull that in there. Rib. Ribs. All right. So, although that was a very gravely over-explained explanation, that's what we're working on. We're working on some of the concept art for characters within the confines of this world. I know as far as where I have gotten with things, there, meaning that should end up falling to roughly there. I know from the generalized area that I have managed to get things for the game. I do want a lot of the artwork to be reminiscent of what I tend to try and do, but I also want to try and expand my own abilities out a little bit more and try and see what I can do to make the artwork better and better as I progress. At some point I will end up breaking down and going into a more digital format with the artwork. However, until then, I will stick with what I know, and that is pencil and paper. We're going to... Alright. And on this side... I want to draw out a sleeve. That is slightly flowy in appearance. And pull this down. We're going to go up. Also, if you guys are just joining us, if you're enjoying what you're seeing here, don't forget to come join us over on YouTube at Tierfing Crafts, as well as over on Twitch and Twitter, again at Tierfing Crafts. I am working on getting more content onto YouTube, as well as attempting to get more content onto Patreon, to where I can start sending people toward the Patreon a lot more vigorously, because you guys' support does help. Not to mention just dropping likes and sharing the video on both the Facebook and YouTube platform does help. But I am working on getting content on both of those, as well as trying to figure out how I'm gonna work things for Twitch or work things for a few of the other streaming services. But I am trying to get to where I am completely moved over from Facebook to YouTube for the majority of my content. And I just realized that body's a hair longer than I really wanted it. Let's draw this down a little bit more. There we go. Big ribs, small torso. Very shunty little things. Tiny little fellers. Oh, wee little bitters. I managed to get my report finished and emailed. I am glad to hear that, Tim. I have yet to got my report done, and an email has been sent, but probably not the one I needed to send. I did, however, have a guy I work with from where I work at do a piece for me. I didn't ask him to do it. He had actually decided to do it, and it was beneficial to me. It helped immensely in getting things a little bit more digitally inclined to what I'm looking for. Let me get to desktop real quick, and I believe this is the one I'm needing to pull up. Open. Okay. It is not completely finished. However, over on that side of the screen, which if my hand is pointing in that direction, you guys will see the iconic logo that is down in the right-hand corner has been done in a digital format. We're still working on it, buttoning up certain things with it. As time progresses, we'll probably end up doing a little bit more with it. But I have to throw out a shout out to him for that one. So thank you again, Mark, because it does look amazing. And to answer your question, Tim, yes, we did get a refrigerator. As to running, we're waiting on it. But we did get one, so that is a thing. It is in the works. We're just waiting for it to be delivered. However, I will say that what we managed to pick it up for was definitely a lot better than I expected. So that is a major plus. I just lost my way and forgot what I was doing. Actually, no, I do look that up. However, I don't want it like that. I want it to take a couple of hair off of that central point there. So I want to that point. Roll that in. We're going to angle that just a hair. Oh, from there. Okay. And then we're going to brace that out to roughly even. And Arwen is currently in the room. She is watching on YouTube currently. Welcome to whoever popped in. She is currently watching on the YouTube side. As on YouTube, just as on Facebook, you can see the same thing I'm doing. But so she is over there watching. As to her actual being, she is currently in the room. And we're going to draw that down a little bit. And truthfully, looking at the time, I forgot how long character creation and designs take for me. Though I love art, and though I do a lot of this a lot more regularly than some other people in the world, I don't do this as regularly as I should. And I regret that. I do. Not many things in life do I regret, but how long I don't spend on artwork is one of the things I do actually regret. Alright. And we're going to swoop that under. And so that is going to come up here. And spike off that. Third one rolls up that way. There we go. And hopefully my big head isn't poking way too much into the camera, because I can see it in the feed. Arwen said she is on the tubes, and she is being held down by a puppy. Oops, excuse me. Alright, so that design there, and wonderful thing about robes is you can hide a many of things. However, I need to determine exactly where I want those legs to be. That way I can discern exactly where I want the robes to fall. It's going in and out. The feed's going in and out, or is the audio going in and out? I'm not for sure exactly what you're referring there to, honey. Fix that out. Petco has a piebald chameleon. I don't know what that is. So, guess what, folks? We get to pause for a second so I can figure out what kind of chameleon this is. Piebald chameleon. Oh, okay. It's a veiled chameleon with a half a face. And there you go, folks. That's what a piebald chameleon looks like. Piebald veiled chameleon. I don't know why it's called piebald, aside from the fact that its skin is kind of semi-albino, I guess would be the best way to look at it. Or more accurately, it looks what's the best way to put it? A reptilian form of vitiligo, the disease. It's kind of what that sort of reminds me of, where the skin coloration doesn't doesn't exactly match up. However, go back to my my feed on the Facey books. Nope. You know, it might help if I were to draw circles the way I know to draw them. And we're gonna run that linear center, or semi-linear center right there. And for this, I am actually going to add in a nod to another potential whenever it comes to characters for this game. Roll that up that way. However, I also need to start adding in aesthetics for this. However, it's not going to go very much farther than that. Alright. And go to there. Then I want this cheek. Oh, their faces, legs, and tails are white, but they also have. Well, good evening, Tim, on the YouTube side. But they also have the ones you want, the Jacksons and also the Panthers. Hold up, Petco has Jacksons and Panther chameleons. Really? Interesting. Huh. Okay. There. I need cheekbones. I need cheekbones. There we go. Centralized bits and pieces. Things that most people don't really pay attention to when it comes to a skull. I need the teeth. All of the teeth. All of the teeth and the cheekbones. And that's a little too far, but whatever. Draw it out. Draw it out. Bring that down. That down. Start adding generalized things that most people will probably recognize into this. It's like some tooths.
including a very exaggerated tooth that, as time progresses, you guys will learn where that comes from. However, until then, okay. And that ridge should roll along the nose as well. Just not as distinctly as around the rest of it.
And then I need welcome to whoever is in on the Facebook side, or at least that just came in. And that is interesting that they have Jacksons and Panthers at Petco. I didn't figure that would be something I would end up hearing. Let's see. I need one finger. There. One coming right in here, but the other one needs to be right about the same area as that one in order for it to fit correctly. And the thumb would be over on the other side, meaning that the elbow area would be there. Arm is stretched out a little bit further than I can. Accentuate that sleeve just a little bit more, just because it's closer to us. And I can start to have variations to different areas. Okay. And let's start adding in actual distinct clothing here, because I need to do that. They also have their tanks on half off. Man, I agree. Why we gotta be broke when they have all the good stuff on sale? Man, that blows. Oh, my cup is empty. Darn. Oh, well. That's fine. Alright. Now, let's see. Let's get the lesser known aspects of this world. In place-ish. And I will explain that statement in just a moment. After I
finish putting in the more detailed areas of this. Okay. Okay. This world that I am building is on the quote unquote backswing from a technological war. That being said, the more quote unquote modern era would be seen as post-apocalyptic, I guess would be the way to put it. However, it's really not. Since the lifespan of most of the species is long enough that that something catastrophic happening isn't as notable as a historical thing. Well, it is still notable as a historical thing. What's the term I'm looking for? These species are so accustomed to things happening that in their lives they're like, oh, okay, this has happened, this is bad. But they are able to move forward from it a lot quicker than we do at times as a species. That being said, yeah, that sucks. Get that out of there. That might explain part of what's bungling that up. But most of the species live long enough that if something bad does happen, that they are able to grow from it within their own lifetimes rather than it being generations that are suffering or fighting to carry on from tragic situation. Some of these species still utilize the technologies of pre the modern age. And I think I have a chunk of graphite stuck in the bottom of that, but I can't tell. So I'm over here trying to sharpen it, and I'm getting little to nowhere. But this one is smaller than humans. The only ones that aren't massively smaller than humans are the Hydroch. They are still... Am I still streaming on Facebook? I think my feed got dropped. But I can't tell for sure. Okay, there we go. I'm still there. I think I'm still there. I'm not still there. Okay, I'm back. Am I back, Rachel? But yes, they are smaller. But the Hydroke eels are not massively smaller than humans. And you know what? I'm gonna switch over. Go to a different pencil for a minute and start fluffing in some different areas with it. But some of them still utilize technologies from the war that led to where that world is now. And most of the technologies themselves are really not that bad. Even the technologies that ended up almost wiping out the general populace weren't that bad. They were just influenced by nefariousness and horrible things. And thank you, Rachel. Thank you, honey, for letting me know that I'm back to good on the Book of Faces. There are some that have kind of stepped away from technology and said, you know what, no. We're going to continue to live more primitively. And as we progress through, I guess this series, because this will end up being a series of lives and videos for Facebook, or not Facebook, but for YouTube. As I continue through this series of videos, I will explain more about some of these species. Now, some of the artwork won't be done on lives, and it won't be done for YouTube and stuff like that. It'll end up just being me sitting down and kind of just working on my own and at my own pace, and kind of getting the generalized feel of what I'm going for out of the way. But of the species that do still utilize technology, well, the racial variants to some species, these guys do utilize some technology, especially those that were born and raised in cities. Those that weren't raised in cities, probably not as much, or probably not as likely to utilize some technologies, but it's still not an impossibility to see. Where my other pencil go? Where my other good pencil go? That's the one I'm looking for. But I don't know why this sharpener is not wanting to work with me today. I may have to get in my table and see if I can't find one of the other ones, or just plug in my electric one, because I know it works. There we go. Alright. So the belt thing right here that he is wearing is technologically based. It taps into his source of magic and helps bolster that source, utilizing servos, gears, mechanics, things like that. and processes it through the belt itself, and that energy links through the staff, allowing for more power to be pushed through it. So in a way, the belt itself works like a capacitor of sorts for magical energy. And the magical energy of this world does have a name. Again, as time progresses, we'll get into that, and we'll go from there with how things work in this world. Get the basic lay of this fabric out here. And maneuver this back a bit. All right. So, let's go through and touch up a few areas with the eraser. And I don't want to use that one that I have. I want to use this one, but I'm going to get it open first. And you know what? I'm not fighting with it right now.
So we'll use it later. Oh, that's where my other.
Okay. That's good. There we go. Now I have my better sharpener. Okay. We're going to use this, and we're going to start erasing out some areas that aren't needed, and then we'll go in and touch it up, and it'll be ready for ink. And as you probably noticed, I did add a lot of underlaying structure to different areas of the body. Part of that's just for me to get a visual reference to what it is that I'm attempting to put onto paper. Again, I'm not the best at drawing out what I can see in my head. Excuse me. And so, as I'm processing things out, I need to structure out a skeleton that I can work off of in order to get things to where I personally want them. And let's get the undersuit in there, because it makes no sense for a magic user to be squishy. I don't understand why magic users don't wear armor, which is another thing that in this world is a thing. Magic users do wear armors. They're not the top of the line armor. They're not the biggest and bulkiest armor. They're probably not going to withstand massive explosions. But they probably will end up being a lot more beneficial than wearing just a robe or just a cloak or something akin to that. That is one thing that confuses me about Dungeons and Dragons and other fantasy lore is why you have spellcasters that don't have armament of some sort. Like, I don't get that. Maybe it's the fact that I do enjoy seeing things like arcane knights and what were they called? Referred to as in Elder Scrolls, battle knights or some. What was it? It was battle wizards, I think is what it was called. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but like stuff like that seems to make more sense to me. Like, ideally, if you're likely to end up in combat, you're likely, you should be figuring out a way to protect yourself, and just wearing a bog standard robe probably ain't the way to do it, or at least in my mind it's not. So there is that. And with that, I'm gonna call that one done. Just because there's really not a lot more I could do with it aside from adding minor details that truthfully could be put in with color. And as I color them and I progress through them, then I will end up working more and more to the point of calling all of them done. But I am going to be calling this live here. Let me go back up to the face view real quick. There we go. Alright, I'm going to be calling this live here. I will end up continuing to work on this. Some of it I will film, some of it I probably won't. I am going to attempt to do another live this weekend and work on the diorama we've been working on for the past few month, something like that. Hopefully we can get it done. Still working on the electronics and trying to learn how to do it, but I'm not doing very good at learning how to do it, so it might take a minute before I get it perfect. Again, I want to say thank you to our friends over at, which side am I on? Oh, that side. Ta-da. Our friends over at Reaper Comics for helping with a lot of the stuff that we do from a week-to-week basis. I also do want to promo Raise Energy again. Even though, no, it's not a paid sponsorship, I drink enough of it and enjoy it enough that, truthfully, why not give credit where credit's due? Might seem weird, but I actually drink pre-workout before going to work, and so whenever I get to work, I'm on the go. But give a shout out to Raise Energy. If you would be interested in ordering Raise Energy, go to repsports.com. REPP sports.com, and look at their vast array of flavors to their energy drinks. If you are an actual athlete and you do work out a lot, their energy drinks are made for people that are constantly active. They have a hydration boost formula that it helps keep you hydrated instead of dehydrating you when you drink it. Go check them out. And whenever you go to order in the discount area, use the discount code SnowmanX and get a 15% discount. Not only does that get you a discount, that also helps me out. And hopefully at some point I may actually get them to sponsor me, which would be great. But until then, I'm going to keep going with what I got and plug them every so often because truthfully I do enjoy their product. So thank you all for coming in. Again, if you're on Facebook and you're seeing this live, come check us out on YouTube and Twitch at Tierfiend Crafts. Same with Twitter at Tierfiend Crafts. And I will catch all of you in the next one. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.